Hi, my name is Sam Laws, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 of my own tips for minimizing your library. If you're anything like me and you love books, it's very difficult to get rid of them or find ways to organize them, but eventually it gets to a point where you have too many and it makes it difficult when you're moving, or it makes it difficult because you are lacking space. Sometimes you just need to clear out the clutter, so here are my 5 tips that have helped me minimize my own library. The first one is to not compare your own minimal library to other people's minimal libraries. When I first began minimizing my own library, I had researched a lot about it, and there seems to be two extremes. Either there are people who are very avid readers and they have difficulty getting rid of any reading material that they have, or they're able to have one or two books that they like and essentially cycle through all of their books. Right now, I kind of fall somewhere in between, but my suggestion is, depending on how avid of a reader you are, it's up to you what you think a minimal library is. There is no exact number for what minimizing a library should be. It shouldn't be once I have 5 books, it's minimal. Once I have 3 books, it's minimal. It depends on what you want to accommodate in your own life. Sometimes we are freeing up space, so we do have more time to read. So when we compare our own libraries to other people's libraries, we suddenly feel like our own amount of books that we have might be inadequate and feel forced to get rid of books when we don't want to get rid of them. So what you should be doing is getting rid of the books that you feel you're not going to be using anymore and keep all the ones that you enjoy. And it's entirely up to you how many of those books that you want to keep. My second piece of advice is to pile books into what you'll be rereading and what you still have to read, or no, you won't read at all. I used to keep a lot of books even when I knew that I wasn't going to end up rereading them, and it created a lot of clutter, but I had difficulties in getting rid of books for just in case moments, feeling like, what if I do want to reread this book at some point? And it's okay to reread books, obviously, but what you have to do is decide, will you really truly want to reread the book? Is it a book worth you rereading? Is it going to be difficult for you to replace if you do end up getting rid of it? Essentially, when I went through my books, I went through the books I knew that I had bought, thinking that I would read, but really knowing I wouldn't. Almost idealizing the books. I picked out books that I had read before, and I really analyzed as to whether or not this story was worth my reading again. In most cases, it wasn't. In very few cases, there are series of books I do enjoy, and those are the ones I keep. And it's perfectly okay to keep books as long as you think that you're going to reread them or use them for something. My third suggestion is to share books with your friends. If you have a lot of friends who enjoy reading books, it's a good way you can trade your books back and forth instead of having to go purchase your own books. It's a good way of saving money. It's a good way of sharing information and fictional enjoyment with friends. And in addition, you get books back from them. And perhaps that person has read the books too, and then you could have a discussion about the books afterward. My fourth piece of advice would be to get a library card or to thrift books. Library cards are useful because you know that you're going to be bringing the book in, you're going to be reading it, and then it's going to be gone. You don't have to worry about it physically cluttering up your space. If you find that it's a book worthy of a reread, you could either take it out of the library again, or if it's worth buying, then you buy it. And that's okay. If it's a book that you'll reread, do so. One of the biggest things I do to save money is to buy books from thrift stores. They're cheap. Once you're done reading them, you can redonate them for somebody else to be able to read and enjoy, and you're not breaking the bank by buying them. My only precaution is make sure that the books that you are buying from the thrift store are books that you know that you're actually going to read. The difficulty for me for a while was purchasing books I thought I would read, and eventually the money does add up. Even thrifting books, if you're buying many books at the same time cheaply and you don't end up reading them, it's essentially like throwing your money away. So just be mindful when you're buying books from thrift stores as to whether or not you're actually going to read the books. My fifth and final piece of advice is to not go crazy. When I first decided to get rid of a bunch of my books, I ended up getting rid of a bunch of books that I wanted to read in the future, and it ended up recosting me money having to purchase the books again, or I'd be thinking about the books all the time and have to go out and locate them, some of which were difficult to locate. If you're not certain about books that you want to get rid of, don't pressure yourself into getting rid of them. If it comes to a certain point, you could always give yourself a time constraint where you give yourself, say, 1 or 2 months, however long it is that you want to give, and say, if I don't read the book within this amount of time, then I know it's a book that should go. It kind of goes with the tip of not comparing your minimal library to other people's libraries. Whatever you feel fits for you and works for you is what you should go with. So when sorting through your books, if you feel uncomfortable about putting one of them in a donation box, just put it aside for a while and see what happens. Thanks for watching this. I'll see you later.